2, 3, action.
Okay, first of all, I would like to introduce you and your work.
Okay, so my name is Svagito and I'm doing different kinds of work, and one of the works I'm doing here in Shenzhen is called Family Constellation, and that's a work where you connect with your roots, your family roots, and you find out a healthy connection to your family and to your parents. And the way we work with that is in a kind of role play. That means people from a group, they become representatives for members of your own family. And in a very short time, you see the roots of many problems through the picture that is created in that constellation. And you can find solutions to complex problems in a very short time.
So you're talking about problem, it's for the people who have this kind of family issue, of course. What about the relationship, especially the intimacy relationship kind of issue?
Well, all relationship problems, of course, have a lot to do also with the relationship to our parents. In fact, we are often seeking what we missed from our parents with a partner. It means a man often is confused by looking at his wife. He looks at her as if she is her mother, and a woman often seeks in a man something that she is missing from her father. So such kind of relationships on the long run cannot turn out to be healthy and create a happiness, because everybody will be frustrated because your partner cannot be your parent. So relationship issues have a lot to do with the relation to our parents.
So also including the problem, the issues about their children. I mean, maybe some of the parents, they will come and they will ask about the issue. It's relevant with their children.
Yes, because to be a parent actually is a great art, and we never learn that, how to be a parent. So very often we become parents not because our energy is overflowing, but because we have a kind of lacking, we miss something. And then rather than being in a state of overflow, we have children and we try to get something from them. And then children from the very beginning, they become burdened. So in fact, a healthy parent is a person who has received energy from his parents and who feels full of energy, and then he is ready to pass it on to his own children. And that creates also a satisfying relationship for children, because children, if they feel my parent is sad, they want to do something for their parent and they want to help their parent, and then is a distortion of the natural relationship between parents and children, because naturally parents are giving and children are receiving, and very often that is distorted. That means children become as if they are parents and parents behave as if they are children. And in Family Constellation we look at this and we try to find a way to come into a natural and healthy relationship towards our parents and also towards our children and also towards our partner.
Okay, and besides this kind of family issues, can it be work in the other direction, for example, work or like the corporation,
Yeah.
and the companies, or?
The principles, Family Constellation looks at principles of relating. And basically there are only two kinds of relationship. One is between equals, for example, between partners. That means equals means I give something to you and I also receive something from you. And then there is a relationship between unequals, where one person is giving more and the other is receiving more. And that is typically the relationship between parents and children. And in any kind of relationship falls either in this or in the other category. So for example, if you work in a business, you have colleagues and you have a boss. And there's the same dynamic happens there in principle. So a boss also is a person who is responsible for the company, and the employees have to respect the boss with that responsibility. So there is also a certain kind of dynamic in a business or in a company And there's a certain similarity towards with family relationships. So you can look at it, business relationships, work relationships, partner relationships, teacher-student relationships. You can always look at it under this, with that principle.
And then also many people, is there many people also coming to ask the question, the problem about their money issue, financial problem,
Okay.
or about the work?
Yes. Money issues often have a lot to do, because money has to do with abundance, with feeling rich, so inner and outer richness. How do we feel inside rich? We feel inside rich if we feel fulfilled, especially from our mother. So money issues have a lot to do with the relationship to our mother. So when we feel that my mother is the best possible mother for me, then we have a certain feeling of feeling rich and satisfied, and we have a certain sense of self-worth. And that also creates outer richness.
And about the work,
Work is
should I continue to do this work, or should I change work, or which direction, or how I'm going to do it?
Yeah, so we have to look at it in different ways. For example, when you look at it, a mother and a father, they represent different energies in the soul. A mother represents energy. If I have a healthy relation to my mother, I have energy. That means I feel rich. The father energy has something to do with having direction in life, like the male energy has a direction in life. So when I have a good relation to my father, then I know what I want to do in my life. I find that direction. I know which direction I want to go. And that has something to do with the nature of male and female energy. Female energy gives you energy, but no direction. Male energy gives you direction. And so this reflects in the relationship that we have towards our parents. So if we have a good relation to both our parents, we feel rich and we know which direction to move.
This is another dimension. What about, because in the previous workshop also happening that people coming to say they have this physical problem, that physical problem, and then maybe also some people, they have some kind of mental problem. They may not have it before, but in a certain point it happened.
Yeah.
Does it also help?
Well, to work with physical sickness is a little not so easy, because how this relates to a family dynamic is not easy to discover. So one needs a little work and experience with that. But in general, I can say that very often a sickness represents a member of the family who has not been recognized or has not been remembered. So the sickness actually is a hidden message. The sickness means it relates to a family member who has not been remembered and who is not honored. And of course, sicknesses, often also mental sicknesses, they are a certain destiny. We carry a destiny when we are born into a family. Sometimes this can improve through family constellation, and sometimes one simply has to agree that this is part of my destiny of being born into this family. So it's not like automatically every sickness can be healed. So this is a bit tricky. So sometimes we have a sickness because we are not living rightly, and this can change. And sometimes we have a sickness because it's part of our destiny and our life. Then we have to agree to that. And in the beginning, one doesn't know, so one has to find out what it is. And very often people who are doctors or healers, they're too quickly wanting to help a person to get rid of the sickness, and that is not so often right. One has to find that out first.
Besides the family constellation, do you also provide other kind of work?
Yes, I'm also working with male and female energy. I'm also working with trauma healing, which means working with the body and how traumas and difficult life experiences affect our body. Then we look more into what happens in the body. I also do counseling work. I also do breath work. But the main thing of my work is more to understand where it's all different methods, but the method is not the main thing in helping people to grow and to develop. The main thing is actually that we come from a place of restfulness and from a place of not wanting something to change, but from a place from deep acceptance and from this place of love towards ourselves. And then when one is in that space, one can apply different methods, but the method is not the essential part. That's why, for me, it is very important that a person who works with people has an experience of meditation and an experience of being connected to himself and resting into himself. And this is also my personal practice, which I have been doing since 35 years. Meditation is part of my life in a way, and from that space I work with people.
I also heard about you also giving training. Can you talk about a little bit about the training, also what kind of people they are more skillful? What kind of preparation they need to do to really go for the training?
People should have some experience or some self-experience before they come to a training. Because training means, of course, you train about yourself, but when you really want to work with people, then you have to first develop yourself. So only people who have a certain inner maturity can actually start working with people. So it's not just a question of learning a technique, it's a question of developing yourself. And that takes sometimes time. So sometimes people who do a training, they can, after the training, immediately work with people. Some people, they cannot, because their personal maturity has not developed enough. So usually I want people to come to a training who already have a certain self-experience.
And also, you talk about your books. I know you're publishing a couple books in your DVD and CD.
Yes, my first book is about family constellation work, which describes all the principles of this work and also how to use that work in your work with people. That is my first book. My second book is about therapy and meditation, which means it explains how personal growth happens in a person and from which space you need to come from when you work with people. That book is basically about how therapy and meditation can work hand in hand. And then I have many DVDs, which basically are a lot for people who really want to study the work. So most DVDs are about family constellation work. They are DVDs that have been created in my trainings. And in these DVDs you see constellations, and also you see some teaching and some explanations. And some other DVDs are about trauma healing, and then how one works with people to heal personal traumas and wounds.